again for those of us that are parents. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanayam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridiyantasto Hyapatrani Vidhunoti Suritsatam Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttame Shloke Bhaktir Pavati Naishtaki. A reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7, Verse 43. Kandharva Ucha Shamshaste Deva Marich Yadaya Ette Brahmin Dradya Deva Gana Rudra Purogaha Krida Bandam Vishvamidam Yasya Vipuman Tasmai Nityam Nata Namaste Karavama. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Gandharvas said, Dear Lord, all of the demigods, including Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Indra, along with Marichi and the other great sages, are all only differentiated parts and parcels of your body. You are the Supreme Almighty Great. The whole of creation is just a plaything for you. We always accept you as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There may be other gods, from Brahma, Lord Shiva, Indra, and Chandra, all the way down to the rulers of the lower planetary systems, and its presidents, ministers, chairmen, and kings. In fact, anyone can think that he is God. That is the false, puffed-up conviction of material life. Actually, Vishnu is the Supreme Lord, but there is even one above Vishnu. For Vishnu is also the plenary portion of a part of Krishna. In this verse, this is referred to by the word Amshamshaha, which refers to part and parcel of a part and parcel. There are similar verses in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which indicates that the Supreme Lord's parts and parcels again expand into other parts and parcels. As described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many manifestations of Vishnu and many manifestations of living entities. Vishnu manifestations are called Svamsha, partial manifestations, and the living entities are called Vibhinamsha. The demigods, like Brahma and Indra, have been promoted to such exalted positions by pious activities and austerities, but actually Vishnu, or Krishna, is the master of everyone. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, Ekali Ishvara Krishna Arasaba Pritya. This means that Krishna alone is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all others, even the Vishnu Tattva, and certainly the living entities, are his servitors. Baladeva is the immediate expansion of Krishna. He also engages in the service of Krishna, and certainly the ordinary living entities are serving. Everyone is created constitutionally for serving Krishna. Here, the Gandharvas acknowledge that although the demigods may represent themselves as the supreme, actually they are not supreme. Real supremacy belongs to Krishna. Krishnastu Bhagavan Svayam is the statement of Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna is the only Supreme Lord. Worship of Krishna alone, therefore, includes worship of all the parts and parcels, just as watering the root of a tree also waters all of the branches, twigs, leaves, and flowers. Namom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhuttale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Baita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Good morning. I seek blessings from all assembled Vaishnavas. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to purify myself. Please forgive me for any shortcomings that are presented in my summary. I put this summary together after studying a lecture from Mandu Pandit Das. Okay, we're going around a room now in this scene. So we have all these parties seated around, taking turns one at a time, offering respects to the Supreme Lord. So now it's come to the Gandharva's turn, and they're saying, "Oh Lord, we recognize ourselves as just parts and parcels of you. We recognize you as the Supreme Lord. We recognize that all of this material energy, it's all just a plaything for you. This is all yours." Right? They tell Krishna that he is the original source. He's the one that expands into Vishnu. So we've seen this expansion and this idea of material energy being a plaything. We've seen it directly in a Leela. This is the one when Brahma comes down and he kidnaps all of Krishna's friends, right? All of the cowherd boys, all of the cows. So why did he do it, right? He was standing above earth. He was watching Krishna down there play out his pastime with the boys, sleeping, eating fruits together. And he thought to himself, I don't see how God could be this personality down here on earth, just doing all of these immature things. He had a totally different vision of what the Supreme should be. And so he doubted Krishna, and he comes down and he kidnaps the boys and he kidnaps the cows. So then what did Krishna do, right? Well, he knew he couldn't bear to see the pain and all of the mothers' hearts in the villages. And so he expanded into form and he took on the form of all of the boys. And his expansion, there's actually expansions of Vishnu. They took on the forms of the boys, they took on the forms of the cows, and they all went back to Vrindavan and just carried out the next year, just like this Krishna playing with material energy, being these children, being the cows as well, too. Watching as the whole village falls in love with these children in a completely different way now, right? So he carries this out for one whole year as though nothing happened. Brahma comes back after a year, still having the boys and the cows with him, but now he sees on earth Krishna playing with all of these boys and all of the cows that he thought he kidnapped. And so this totally bewildered Brahma, right? He falls to his knees and he starts begging Krishna for the truth. He wants to see what reality really looks like. And so Krishna finally shows him that all of the boys and all of the cows, they were just Krishna's expansion of Vishnu's. What's more is then he shows Brahma that he's not the only Brahma either. He brings in all these Brahmas, thousands of them from other universes, and he says, look, I have an infinite expansion of infinite universes, and in every single one of them, we have a Brahma. They're in this position the same way you are from your austerities, from your hard work. It's a temporary position. Before you, there were an infinite number of Brahmas. After you, there'll be an infinite number of Brahmas. So he explains all of this to Brahma and shows him the truth. And just imagine that vision in front of you, getting to see the reality of everything. But the lesson here, right, is it was only when Brahma accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality that he got to see this vision. And that is really the lesson here. If you don't conceive of the Supreme Personality as the originator of it all, then it's going to be extremely difficult to comprehend the nature of everything. Just like Brahma couldn't comprehend why Krishna would be on earth just playing with children. Very similar. So now on to the next point of this lecture is to remember that Krishna really is the owner of everything, right? Krishna owns our souls. Krishna owns our bodies. Krishna owns the material world. He owns all of it. So we reflect on what it means to actually own something. What does it mean when we possess something, when we own it? if we own a musical instrument, right? It is there for us to play, right? It serves us in a way by if we bring some skill to it, we can create some really pretty music out of it. That's how a musical instrument serves us when we own it. So if we own a car, how does a car serve us? It takes us from this place to that place. If you own a business, it serves you by building your financial future. That's really the gist of it. When we own something, it means that that thing now exists to serve us. It exists for our pleasure. So similarly, Krishna, who is the owner of all of us, who is the owner of our souls, of our bodies, this means that we exist in these bodies to serve Krishna. We exist for his pleasure. We know this and we have a lot of evidence of it. We have a ton of scriptural evidence of it, but you also have direct experience of it as well too. This is that yearning that you feel in your heart for a higher taste as you looked for something and found it in Krishna consciousness, as you keep going deeper in Krishna consciousness. This yearning is that true calling of us to come back to our real position. And we don't just see it here, we see it all over other philosophies and other traditions too. Remember that the Gyan Yogi, for instance, may believe that everything comes from one substance, but they will still take on an Ishtadevata, right? So many of them will have these very atheistic tendencies at the core of their belief system. But even they would have to admit that it's extremely difficult to strip away all these layers of material conditioning unless you attach to God. So even for the Gyan yogis, somewhere in their hearts, there's a calling for service to the Lord. I think it's even more obvious to see in the karma yogi who donates all of their fruits to Krishna, right? Because they're navigating these world fulfilling all of their duties, but they're always trying to keep the Lord on their mind. They're always trying to keep fixed on the Lord as what? As the cause of all of the reactions to their actions, but also as what? As the beneficiary of all the results, right? That's service in the same way that if we work at a job, the fruits of that are dedicated back to the business. That is what service is. So everywhere you look, you see that people realize they can only begin to cross this material ocean once they realize their true nature, their true position is to be a servitor of the Lord. So Krishna comes, we're all in his divine theater, and he's giving all of us living entities free will, and we're the ones that get to make the choice. Do we want to come home to Krishna? Do we want to serve him? If not, we don't have to. We can practice something that is not in our true nature. And then what happens? We're given this body in the material world, right? We get bonded to this body. And our jiva sits inside of us and continues to live its life, just completely obscured and completely shrouded with this fake identity that we have, with this false body. So we can do that and take on death after death after death for as long as we want to. Or it'd be in our best interest to think as often as possible about our true nature. So we need to remember often because Krishna is the one that expands into all of this, expands into all of us. He is our owner. And that means that we are really here for his pleasure. So we should also reflect on ways that we think or we behave that are not necessarily aligned with our positions here. Maybe they're not aligned with the true nature of who we are. And I think we should reflect on these ideas often because in these reflections, we get a real honest chance to just step back and then again, sincerely ask for the Lord's help. Ask for his help in making sure that we stay further fixed, more and more fixed on that devotional service. And with Krishna's mercy, we will certainly do it.